because Ian's not here.
Oh, well, here. He's not going to be able to get to
Do
it.
it. I think they know what's going to happen here.
I can do it.
I'm
Vanna
not
White
scared.
off the thing. So.
Here, give me that.
I'm not scared. Oh, stream
Oh,
could not
for
be
fuck's
created.
sake.
Way to go,
Try
Cedar.
again.
No, we're not.
It's on a delay. It's on a buffer. It's going to end.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, something.
Something's wrong with the internet.
I still have you.
So,
No, seriously, I still have you guys.
Huh. It says right here the stream could not be created.
all right.
And are we
well,
on?
You're
Oh,
on.
yeah.
All
Let's
right.
just keep going.
Let's keep going then.
Well, screw it. Anyway, Among the Leaves Teas.
Ko-Fi, support us because
Yeah.
obviously we have got technical difficulties.
Oh,
Yep.
wait. Yeah, two here.
All of the things.
Yeah. We can't see the chat, so.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, we've joined by Mike Burke.
I'm just here for proof of life.
Yeah. He's
Hi,
still
hon.
here. We can't get rid of his ass.
Heather thinks it's a plot. that
Yeah.
One of you've called Barry and say, don't work on his truck.
We're joined by Cedar today. Ian's running a little late.
I still think we need to like DoorDash your wife something nice or send her flowers.
She likes
or-
A&W root beer.
All right, good to know.
Not giving mine up.
Um,
To hell with her.
Whoa, easy. Ouch. Now we know who's the one calling Barry.
Ugh.
Oh,
Ugh.
I was just thinking about the A&W root beer. We lived in New Hampshire. There was a place called Woodstock Inn. Not that Woodstock.
Yeah, the other one.
There's like Woodstocks in all of the New England states.
Yeah.
But Woodstock Inn was this beautiful old Federal era building, classic white
Yeah.
clapboards and black shutters. And they did homebrew root beer.
Yeah.
And we used to get a growler root beer every time we were up in their area because
Oh.
it was I mean, I'm not a big fan of store-bought root beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the stuff that they made was really interesting, just super complex flavors, not too sweet.
Oh.
So yeah.
Okay, so the chat, I am going to tell you, is like, wow, they can't see what that means. They can't even attempt to keep us on track.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
No.
It's not like we can hear you guys. Yeah.
Like we really can anyway.
Yeah.
But speaking of tracks, we do have people with books out today. James Copley, his book went live today. And I
Oh, we
can't,
got both Jessies now.
yeah. And I can't look at it to pull up which book it is.
It's his book in the Fey Wars
Yeah.
series. I don't have the title at the tip of my fingers,
No, this-
but we can get it.
Someone in the
This
chat
is-
will know.
This is not the Fey Wars. This
Oh,
is
this
his
is an
furry.
independent?
Yeah.
Okay.
The chat
Yeah.
excuse is Ian's had a makeover.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Ian today.
Yeah.
Ian had his hair.
Oh. And also, Space Cowboys 5 went live today.
Jesse Slater's first short story sale, ironically titled "You Never Forget Your First."
Also,
Well done, Jesse.
also Nancy Fry's first
Fry's
short
Oh
story.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And she just she messaged and I said I was so happy that she sent her story to us.
Yeah.
And she says, I hope to send many more. The Raconteur Press motto of "We don't care as long as it's entertaining" is a big encouragement.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I
we're
can
doing
barely
something
see it.
right.
Is that Jesse saying "moo moo rah"?
Hoorah. You haven't heard that before.
Oh no, is that having to do
Oh.
with the bison thing?
Yeah.
It has to do with
Okay.
the uplifted bison. And here's the kicker.
Mm.
If you put Moorah on Facebook, you
Yeah.
know how it offers to translate things it doesn't
Yeah.
understand.
Oh, yeah.
So Moorah in Arabic is evidently, what was it? I can't remember. It translates to something in Arabic, which is
Yeah.
deeply ironic and hilarious.
Very well.
Yeah.
The chat will fill. The chat.
Yeah, the chat will put it up,
Yeah.
which we can't see.
The chat will save us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse just popped up and said, "Hoorah." Oh, Path to Freedom is
Path
Path
to
to
freedom.
freedom,
Yeah.
So,
So
Which
it
is ironic considering where that
yes.
whole storyline is going to go.
Yes, and it is awesome.
One thing we wanted to talk about today was anthologies.
hmm
and the different types of anthologies and what you can get into if you're writing in an anthology.
Mm.
Because, okay, Racketeer Press, for example, write a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. And you get, Space Cowboys.
Right.
And that's the only requirement.
Right.
Others get rather specific.
Oh, yes.
When I got invited to Ross 248 for Bain, that was a science fiction one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And the Bible for that ran over 60 pages.
Wow.
Very specific.
I'm not sure I could have done that. I just, because I don't outline, I pants.
Yeah.
So trying to
And
keep all that in my head while I was writing.
I had to print it out.
I was going to say, how did you do that?
And everybody was to pick a particular thing to make their story around.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, basically, I cheated. I ripped a story out right quick and sent it in. So, and I actually ended up requiring them to change the timeline because
Oh.
they even had a timeline year by year.
That's just really, really restrictive.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I see. Rex Cutler, small arms dealer,
Yeah,
is in the chat.
but others, for example, spot reps that we did that we talked about on Tuesday.
One of Peter Nealon's.
One of Peter
Yeah,
Nealon's.
Yeah.
That was about maybe 10 or 12 pages.
That's still a lot.
Yeah. Well, when we did Tales Around the Supper Table,
Mm-hmm.
it was write a story. I didn't care what kind of story.
Mhm.
Which led to a really interesting mixture in those anthologies.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ones that we've done for the library, it's a overarching Tales from the Oil Patch,
Mm-hmm.
Haunted Libraries.
Right. And the one that's open right now is
The one that's
Cattleman?
open is Cowboys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Again, very generic.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first one I ever did was Cal Exit,
Right.
which was the upshot of 2016
Mm-hmm.
LibertyCon. And the only requirement on that one was California's leaving the United States,
Yeah.
and they're changing their monetary system to CALers from dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think because I wrote for that.
Yeah.
And I think I remember bouncing my idea off you to make sure
Yeah.
it was within what you wanted.
Yeah.
And I had read the novella that inspired
Yeah.
the anthology.
Yeah.
Mm.
So having done those two things.
And then the fourth one that I was in was with Kevin James Anderson, which was the Unmasked anthology.
Mm-hmm.
And the requirement there that the story had to be about unmasking
Mm-hmm.
a personality.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they declined mine for that one.
Yeah.
Because evidently they felt like they had two stories that were submitted that were very similar.
and that's a problem you can run into in an
yeah.
anthology.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing was they were very, that story got edited quite a bit.
And that's one of the things that irritates me because I can understand if you have something like Ross 248 where you've got the science and
Yeah.
the timeline, and I can understand editing to make sure everything fits in with that.
Yeah.
But I have actually withdrawn my story from submissions when the editor was a little too heavy-handed.
Mhm.
Yep.
Because if they're going to be changing, well, okay, the one I withdrew was because I was invited to send in a story.
Yeah.
I sent a synopsis, and the head editor approved it. I send in the story, and I get contacted by a junior editor, and I looked her up, and she was barely out of college.
Oh, joy.
And she wanted me to turn the wolves in the story into werewolves,
What?
No,
and they were just like straight up wolves.
no.
So it was like I'm
Yeah.
withdrawing the story.
Yeah.
At this
Well,
point
when they're
because-
trying to change your voice and
Yeah.
change
Mhm.
those elements in your story,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
time to draw the line.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and that's, I mean, I think that's too much.
Yeah.
There's some editing fine, throw
Yeah.
a bunch of commas in there.
Yeah. Half pages at the end, put them where you want them. But one of the better editors I worked with was James Young
Hmm.
when I did the anthology with him.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, Yeah, we're going through that right now.
Yeah, we're
'cause
doing that right now with
Right.
Hooves.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're working on an alt history anthology with James.
Matter
We've
of
got another
fact,
one coming up.
I got all those stories,
Yeah.
save one, turned in. Looking at you, Matt. Well, the revisions, right?
Not, not that we're calling people out or anything.
Well, and a revision doesn't guarantee that you're in the book. It's can you change it?
Yeah.
And you know, especially when James is editing, he's very like, hey, this has possibilities. Can we ask for
Yeah.
some things? And
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
when it gets returned, he'll make a decision here tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, and that's a nice thing to do too. I mean, I know when I was editing the Goblin Market anthology, I wasn't going to ask for revisions. If the story wasn't good enough to go in
Mhm.
as it was with light copy editing,
Yeah.
I wasn't taking it. But
Yeah.
that's because I was spoiled for choice. I had a lot of really great stories
Well,
on that.
Yeah, and in Garble
So-
Market, even I contacted one of the authors, one of our new baby authors too, and said, "Hey, what ab- you know?" And because I am terrified of simply editing someone and doing like, you know,
Mhm.
you dealt with where I'm changing something entirely
Yeah.
what they intended. And I've contacted some of our other authors too, editing.
Yeah.
Like, did you
Yeah.
mean to
Yeah.
do this? Is this a typo or is this on purpose? And if it is,
Yeah.
I'll leave that in. You know.
Yeah, and that's a nice thing to be able to do as
Yeah.
an editor.
Yeah.
I mean, I know when you edited my Collexit story,
Yeah.
you asked me for something, and I hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah.
I had insufficient description of my characters to bring them to life for
Yeah.
the readers, and you pointed that out and asked me to come back and revise it accordingly, and that was good.
But and here is where you get into an issue with an anthology. Because you've got a limited word count,
Mm-hmm.
usually around 8,000 words, give or take.
Yeah, depends on the antho. Yeah.
So you don't have the luxury of doing character development that you would have in a novel.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think if I recall correctly, I added like 4 sentences to
Yeah.
that story in order to flesh those characters out enough to give the readers a picture in their mind. There's shortcuts you can take.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I
So-
want to talk about is, there are really 7 steps in a short story.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You've got the character.
Yeah.
You've got a context for the character. You've got some kind of problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you have your try-fail sequences.
Yeah.
Now-
You can't have too many of those in a short.
Right.
Yeah.
You never want really more than about 2 or 3,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a short. No.
or even in a long one, in a novel. I seldom ever put more than 2 or 3.
Yeah. I think I tend to want to go with odd numbers.
Yeah.
but I think if you go past 3,
Yeah.
it gets really frustrating for the reader.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just like it would in real life.
Yeah, but at one point you either have to have a final failure or a success.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing you've got to have is some kind of denouement of,
I believe that's denouement.
read between the lines. How about validation?
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Dang French.
Yeah. And that's your 8,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're cramming it in.
Yeah. And I think I wrote not too long ago about this there's ways that you can kind of explode a concept in the reader's mind,
Right.
which if you use like tropes, cliches, and that kind of thing, and there's ways to do those that
Mhm.
aren't
Yeah.
tired and worn out and will piss the readers
Twisted.
off. Yeah, well, the twisted tropes was fun, but that way you can have in like a sentence or just a little tiny bit of words,
Yeah.
a concept that the reader's mind it blows up and expands into its full
Right.
potential.
And that's where it's, I think, easier for people that don't write info dumps, people
Mhm.
that write sparse characterizations and sparse scenes,
Yeah, yeah, I
Mhm.
see what you're
because their
saying.
tendency is to let the reader build that in their own mind
Right.
so they have more words to play with.
Yeah, absolutely.
You brought up info dump, and I think that's an important thing to discuss because sometimes, even we're looking at stories where the author they're trying to build their world, and they feel the need to give us a page and a half to 3 pages
No.
of why this is happening.
Yeah.
And I actually don't need that, right?
No.
Like, let's say you're writing the example I like to use is a heist story,
Yeah.
right? If we're writing a novel about a heist, we can go full on Ocean's 11 where
Yeah.
we start and we hire and recruit
Yeah.
everybody, right?
Yeah, because that's actually part of the story.
Right.
Yeah.
But a heist short story starts where the vault's already empty.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you jump right in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the get in and get out
Mhm.
Yeah.
concept there.
But the other one I want to go through is what they call a hero's journey.
Mm.
And this one is kind of a follow up to what we were talking about Saturday with the Odyssey.
Okay.
And this is something that I pulled, oh God, 10 years ago at least. But it's Homer's Odyssey as a hero journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
guy did the research on it. And it's worth it to listen. He starts off in the ordinary world.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, he's at home in Ithaca with his wife Penelope and his newborn son Telemachus. He gets a call to adventure. He sets out to war in Troy. His first refusal. He does not want to leave his family and sail to Troy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's right. He doesn't
Yeah.
want to go.
He has a mentor or a helper. It's Athena, the goddess of wisdom. She becomes his guide. She takes pity on him while other guides forsake him. He crosses the threshold. After the war, the gods become angry with the Greeks and their prideful actions and throws them off course. The test, the allies and the enemies. Polymatheus, Cercones, the Lotus Eaters, the Laestrygonans, the Sirens, Scylla and Charybdis, and the cattle of the sun god. All of those that he has to battle.
They're all obstacles.
Mhm.
Obstacles, yeah.
Yeah.
The approaches. Nearly makes it home. His crew opens a bag,
That was his fault. But,
Yeah.
Hey.
and the god wins, and away they go again. The ordeal. He's sent to the underworld to seek information to guide him home. The quest brings him to the verge of death. The reward, or the final success, is the king of Phaeacia gives Odysseus the passage home, the road back. Unlike other heroes, he was not in search of treasure. He was just desperately trying to get home.
Yeah.
Once he gets home, he finds out his house has been overrun with suitors trying to steal his wife and phallus. In atonement, instead of rushing and killing the suitors, he's patient. He waits to learn whether his wife has been faithful. And in return, he comes in dressed as a beggar, completes the task, and is restored to his original state. He and his son expel the suitors from their home by force. Penelope, seeing how Odysseus has changed, tests him to make sure it's actually him. Then she tells him she moved their bed. He replies correctly. That would have been impossible, and all returned to normal.
Mm-hmm.
This is written by Homer over 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, and you could not cram all that in a short story.
No,
No.
That's too much plot for a short story. Put some back.
and it's a damn long book
Yeah. No,
when
it's
you read it.
I mean, it would be, if you were to write that now, it would be a multi-book series.
Oh, yeah.
It would be, okay, there's a really funny little Twitter controversy that I caught the corner of
Yeah.
enough to make me chuckle and move on.
Yeah.
I tend to stay off the Twitter controversy train.
Yeah.
But this guy says that he can't think of any story that's too big to contain in one book. Well, there's one right there.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you can put all of the Odyssey in one book, but it's a lot.
Or
And
the
it-
Iliad.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that much plot, there's so much room in there. You could
Yeah.
easily do that in multiple books
Oh, yeah.
without having it be dragging.
Yeah.
You could have great pace all the way through and do 4, 5, 6 books on that.
And that's another thing that very few people understand is pacing.
Mm-hmm.
Or you want that character arc and the tension to build,
Well, and you've got
Drop off.
and you can have multiple arcs.
yeah, build,
So you
drop
can have
off.
one huge overarching
Yeah.
arc, and underneath of it, waves
Yeah.
of
Mhm.
ups and downs arcs.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's
where
how
you-
was it Howard Andrew Jones wrote the whole oh my gosh, now I can't remember. It's because I'm on the spot, I can't remember the name of the book. He's got it's a kind of a sword and sorcery story, but it's kind of Romanesque.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, someone's
have-
gonna have
I
it.
have Google, so
Yeah.
Someone's gonna have it. But what he wrote, what he did was they're kind of short stories.
Yeah.
But there's an overarching
Yeah.
mission, and these are just adventures that happen along the way.
let's see here. We have the Chronicles of Hanover.
Yeah, Hannibal. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. There's 3 that he's known for, evidently.
Yeah.
So I'll have to look him up because I don't know that I've actually encountered any of his. It's also
Mhm.
possible that I have, because I've read a lot of short stories
Yeah.
in particular that were collected without
Mhm.
capturing the
Yeah.
author's names, because I'm a bad reader.
Well, it's fascinating because he kind of bases Hannibal off of Hannibal.
Oh, okay. And he's also got the Chronicles of Sword and Sand, and then the Ring Sworn. Now I can't speak. Trilogy. So
That one I've never heard of.
for the Killing of Kings, Upon the Flight of the Queen, and When the Goddess Wakes.
Okay, now I got homework. Damn
Jim's got homework. We've written something. He hasn't had the.
Well, there's so much out there. I mean,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you can spend a lifetime, and like Ben Yellow
Yeah.
has spent a
Ugh.
lifetime
Yeah.
reading all of this, and even he can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
Especially now that it's so much easier to publish, now
Yeah.
that we don't
Mhm.
have the gatekeepers.
Which creates another set of problems.
It does. Oh, absolutely.
Because you've got the people like Mary Three Names that, oh, this is my corner of the world and I won't share it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though, is I think we're at the point now where if you are a reader and you have a particular little niche of stuff you like to
Yeah.
read, then you can generally, if you understand how to search for,
Yeah.
you can find it, or you can find other people that like similar things and they'll recommend stuff to
Yes.
you. And I think that organic word of mouth is more important now than ever.
Well, not only that, but you don't have to
So-
go to a library today to get a library book.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
You know, we were, I'm not going to say restricted, but we were restricted
yeah,
growing up.
we had a small pool of available books to us.
Yes.
Right.
And they were basically curated
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
by adults,
Yep.
which is why as a child, I was basically sneaking books because I was reading far in advance of my grade level.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I ran into the same problem. I've talked about it a number of times,
Yeah.
how the librarian in Tok, Alaska would not let me go into the side where
Yeah.
the adult books were.
Yeah.
And instead let me into the back room of the children's section where all of Edgar Rice Burroughs books were. So I probably got into more adult content there than
Yeah.
whatever it was that she was worried about.
Oh, yeah.
So, what was the Library of Alexandria like, Jim?
Yeah. Damn papyrus. Let go of the song. She goes, Oh,
I was talking to Ben Yallow about his introduction to science fiction as a boy, and,
Yeah.
and he's talked to me before about learning how to read,
Yeah.
and how his sister was a little stinker about learning how to read because she figured out that she could get their parents and Ben to read aloud to her if she didn't let on
That
that
she
she
could
knew
read.
how to
Yeah.
read. So it wasn't until first grade that they realized that she knew how to read pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
But he was telling me that his first science fiction were probably the Tom Swift books.
Yeah.
And he was very careful to say not the Tom Swift Jr. books, but Tom Swift. And he also told me that those predate him, which
Yeah.
I knew because they're from like 1920s.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Yeah.
it was Tom Swift, Huckleberry Finn, the Hardy Boys.
mhm.
Then you get into science fiction, Edgar Rice Burroughs,
Hmm.
Doc Smith, Heinlein.
Yeah.
Oh God,
And it's we were talking
Lamore,
about
Zane
this-
Grey.
Right. We were talking about this last night. You
Yeah.
go back far enough, and there's just this massive book memories of where do they start?
Yeah.
I mean, I
Mhm.
know I read this, and this, but when?
Yeah.
So,
But we would, and then of course getting in the military, and every outfit I was in the military had a loaning library
Hmm.
mhm.
because in the Navy, you know, I even on ship, even on flight deck, you'd see guys with a book in their back pocket.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about we were carrying them around in saw pouches. You
Yeah.
wanted a saw pouch, you put food and put a
Yeah.
book in there and
Yeah.
trade with your buddy, on patrol.
Yeah.
But what always pissed me off was the one asshole that would take the last 3 pages.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I was reading Tim Powers' A Drawing of the Dark, and the last page was gone from the book. I
Oh
was
my
hot.
gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, I think every military guy I've ever talked to about reading in the military has described this one guy that would rip the last page or two out. What the heck?
He's
Well-
probably the same guy who's taking a crap in all the showers. too.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that's just
the thing you have to understand
sociopathic.
is a lot of these books were held together by tape.
Yeah.
Well, I know that, but
I
still.
mean, in some cases, 100-mile-an-hour tape.
Well, that's hard to read through.
Mhm.
I mean, you kind of look at the cover and go, yeah, I think I know what this one is. But the Mac Bolan series,
Mm.
and what, Stony Man, The Executioner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sanford and I have talked about that. Some of the stuff that he read
Yeah.
when he was in the military, because it was what was commonly available for the guys.
Yeah.
Mac Bolan, the Siska, the Legionnaires.
Casca.
Casca,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was my
Yeah.
dad loved those too.
Yeah.
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 But those were what was available.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But by the same token, you would also see the occasional James A. Michener,
Mhm.
huge
yeah.
friggin' hardback.
Big, thick books.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Of course, most of the folks that took them back to wherever they were sleeping because they weren't going to carry that one around in their back
No.
pocket.
Well, and when I was a teenager, because I read so quickly and I often had limited access to the library, talking
Yeah.
about limited pools of so if we went to the library, I was picking out whatever the thickest books in the library were, so I knew I'd have reading material until next week or
Yeah.
whatever it was I'd be able to get back there, which led to me reading things like MMK's books, like The Far Pavilions,
Mhm.
and the Michener books, because they were nice. That's what made me think of it. They
Yeah.
were nice fat books, and I'd go through the shelves looking at the thickness of the books and grabbing the big thick ones.
Yeah,
You'll read some random stuff that way.
yeah. Frederick Forsyth, Wilbur Smith.
Dad introduced me to oh my gosh, I just lost his name. The Guns of Navarone. Alistair MacLean.
Alistair MacLean.
I read him and Ian Fleming, and there's a couple of other writers like that.
Yeah, John D.
So-
McDonald's another one I remember. The Travis McGee series.
Somehow I didn't manage to get into those until I was an
I
adult.
did.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But all these things flavor your writing.
Oh,
Mhm. Oh yeah.
And the other thing it does, and I'm sorry, chat, we literally cannot see what you're doing.
It's some kind of shadow is over it. It's hard. You can.
They're off in their own little universe.
That's awesome.
Sorry.
Yeah. Talk amongst yourselves while
Yeah.
we jabber.
The people that come back and watch later are going to have to do 2 times so
Go
they can
on.
watch
Yeah.
the chat
Well,
and watch.
Like I
us.
know people who are like, I'm not even gonna have to wait for the comments to load before I watch the video, man. Oh,
Yeah.
This week they don't have to.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's 2 separate events, folks.
Yeah. And then they'll get it with a chat up. Go, what in the hell?
Yeah.
This is
That are they doing the same show? I
Yeah.
don't-
But the other thing that it does is it gives you a different perspective, I guess is the way I would put it.
Mhm.
Because, and of course, travel gives you yet another
Mm.
perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something that I think a lot of the earlier writers didn't have because the capability was not there to do
Right. And
really that much travel.
I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but I think there was an English dude that wrote a lot of Western novels without ever having been
Well,
out
but
west.
that would go against Louis L'Amour and the Education of a Wandering Man. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that would be the exception because I mean he was on tramp steamers in the
Yeah.
Indonesia,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it was
Now Robert E. Howard would be an example of that because he's
Yeah.
writing about Steve Costigan, Sailor Steve Costigan, and
Mhm.
these far off fighting.
Yeah, and he's down
You
here
know.
in Texas.
Yeah,
Right.
he never
He
left the
lived
state,
2
right?
hours away.
Yeah.
And, yeah. West Texas,
Yeah.
flat as can be, no water.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and you get the other side of the coin is the Louis L'Amours of the world,
Mhm.
Hmm.
the people that have been there,
Yeah,
have the experience.
I wonder if that's the exception, and
I think
if Louis is kind of the.
I think
Well,
he,
Zane Grey, he
Yeah.
and Zane Grey were kind of the exception.
yeah.
And in the art world, it was Remington
Hmm.
and Charles. Oh, damn.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Chuck, yeah, he was a good dude.
I lost his name.
Well, I think there's a balance because I do think that we get told don't write what you don't know, and the implication is that if you haven't been able to travel there, you shouldn't write
Yeah.
about it. I do think, that especially now, because research is so easy and
Yeah.
so because you can hop on YouTube and watch people
Yeah.
wandering through a souk,
Yeah.
filming all of it while they go, and you're not gonna. It's not the same as having been there, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you get a lot closer than if all you ever read was
Exactly.
Marco Polo's travel journals.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
Or you do the amount of research that David Drake did,
yeah.
because
And
most of
doctorate
David's
level thesis paper, and then
Yeah.
you can write the book.
Hammer Slammers is based on battles going back to the Hittites.
Right.
Hmm.
And on his own experiences.
Yeah.
So I
Or-
think,
Dave Weber,
mhm,
historian.
yeah. And I think you can extrapolate from your research.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a limitation, because I used to fight against that when I was a
Yeah.
young writer, and people were like, oh, you can only write what you know. And I'm like, how am I supposed to write science fiction and fantasy?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But I've realized that there's a balance. I mean, if I can go somewhere, I like travel.
Well, yeah,
but-
if I was stuck writing only what I know about, I could only write about cavemen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you and I both would be in federal
Right, yeah.
prison.
Neanderthal anthology coming soon from
Yeah.
Raconteur Press.
As soon as we chisel it out on stone
Yes.
in hieroglyphics.
Don't act like it'd be your first time.
Once is
That's
enough.
what they were thinking.
I know.
Oh, since I have actually carved quill pens and written with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recommend doing that for any length of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Turkey feathers do make the best ones, though. Goose feathers tend to split.
And that is an esoteric piece of knowledge that somebody will use.
Well, and it's one of those
Yeah.
things that the only reason I have that knowledge is because my parents were involved in reenacting.
Yeah.
And also because I was an inquisitive little something or other.
Yeah.
So I would read about things in books and then attempt to do them myself. And
Yeah.
and reading a lot of historicals, and I mean things like reading the whole Little House on the Prairie series when I was fairly young
Mhm.
led to me experimenting with things that I'd read about in the books.
Yeah.
I never tried feeding a pumpkin with milk because that just seemed like a recipe for making a stink and drawing pests.
Yeah. And getting your butt beat because that milk was precious.
Oh no, we had goats. We had more milk than we could use.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, yeah.
So people are popping in late to the chat. They're like, wait, what? Who's this guy?
Sorry.
It's like,
Emergency holographic Ian.
Yeah.
it's emergency holographic Ian.
Yes.
That's good, right?
Hi, I'm Ian McCurtry. I've had emergency surgery to avoid
Yeah.
the.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard us earlier, Jonna, but whoever
yeah.
comes in and reviews this later is going to be in a world of
I was
trouble.
like, what?
What the heck happened?
The chat and the video, they're not
Yes.
connected today.
They're sort of connected. They've been wandering off on tangents like normal, but really, the chat doesn't come to listen to you guys. That's
Yeah,
why.
we know
Thanks,
that.
Wally. Ask Mike about his llama.
Yeah,
Oh.
drama. Ah,
I
Okay.
prefer alpacas.
Yeah.
I've had
So-
to deal with llamas.
Really, we should just be calling you Scarlet. You're Scarlet.
Yeah, Wally. Yeah, Wally. We could do a whole episode of me and Wally playing that card game.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Scarlett Johansson.
Oh.
You touched my monkey. Prepare to die.
Oh. I have to say,
No context. Sorry.
the swearing while you two were working with Clip Chimp or Chimp Clip.
Oh
whatever that
my
was
gosh.
yesterday,
Male
was
chip.
epic and entertaining.
Ian and I were trying to put the link together videos with this item called Clip Chimp. which, as we all know, is Ian's bane.
Yes.
Oh my
There
God.
were words being used as curse words that I didn't realize could be used as curse words.
Useless piece of monkey shit. I had to walk away until I could laugh at him.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Humor, wherever you may find it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was apologizing to my boss the other day because I was talking to her because I had to update her about some of the stuff that's going on in my personal side because
Yeah.
it was going to impact the work side
Yeah.
sooner rather than later. And I was like, there's going to be some black humor because I
Yeah.
spent enough time around Dad being emergency medicine in the military that's kind of one of my coping
Yeah.
things. And but it was like, and I was just describing it to her as you're going along and you can either fall in the abyss or you can build a bridge over it using humor.
Yeah.
So you can keep going.
Yeah.
And that's really where it is. And she's a super nice lady and she's totally understanding what's going on.
I can barely see the chat. James Copley, if you mean you're looking for me on Amazon, I write under Spearman Burke, which is all Amazon,
Not
or
spearmint. Spearmint.
not Spurgelmint. He's a member of the family we don't talk about. Spurgelmint Burke is, we don't talk about him.
Oh. But there is a Spurgelmint's ad in the
Yeah.
latest Raconteur Plus release.
There is Spurgelmint's ad. Go all the way to the end of your book. Make sure you flip through each page. That way we get all the hits. But yeah, we did the ads.
We did the ads for this book. That was fun.
That was a
Yeah.
good fun.
So-
That's the new surprise for this.
Yeah.
This
we can't
anthology.
keep doing surprises in every
No,
book.
we're gonna run out.
Yeah.
But we can do new ads in every book and they're fresh illustrations for stories. And
Yeah.
that'll have to be your surprises going on.
yeah.
So,
That does bring up another point, though.
Mhm.
And that is in talking about how to break yourself out of the 2+ million books out there
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
is cover art that's recognizable at a thumbnail.
Yeah.
So you want to limit the complexity of your cover. Of course, I don't have it on this machine,
I was
but
gonna say this has been interesting because, and I got a question again about using AI art and can you really be a real artiste if you use AI art? But
oh, for fuck's sake!
yeah, I know.
Sorry, folks.
It's gonna be years before I stop having to deal with this
Yeah.
ever. But here's the interesting thing, which is right now, because for the last close to 2 years now, I've been able to create whatever art I jolly well please.
Yeah.
I've discovered something. You can still have complex cover art. What you can't have is muddy composition,
Mhm.
and you have to have sufficient contrast for it to stand out at a thumbnail. Because if there isn't enough contrast, then it all fades into whatever the predominant color of the art is.
Yeah.
And so even people that are using AI art, if they don't understand design, are still going to trip and fall over that, because if they don't have the design down for choosing the right art and composing the art on the cover, and then composing the fonts and layout of the text on the cover. I mean, that's part of why Jim's Gray Man series works well, is because he's got a really great designer who understands what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the art is unorthodox,
Yeah.
it works really, really well. Yeah. You have
Yeah.
good composition, you've got good contrast, so it still works. It doesn't necessarily signal. I mean, it signals genre. Some of
Yeah.
that one does, but not all of yours do.
But that,
So
you
Yeah, I
barely
can't see
it.
that one. Yeah.
yeah,
But it's thumbnail size there,
yeah,
and it's still recognizable.
right. And that's what you have to compose a book cover.
Yeah.
Is always for thumbnail first, so you can still have details in your art, but you don't want to have those details all be vying for
Yeah.
first place.
There was one, and we talked about it a couple of years ago at LibertyCon on that panel.
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot remember for the life of me. It was the one with a very complex dragon with the rider that took up 90% of the cover,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it was just mushy.
right, and that's where you get you don't have enough contrast on
Yeah.
the art.
Mm.
So if you have lots and lots of details and you don't have enough highlights and shadows
Yeah.
to bring anything to the forefront,
Mhm.
then at thumbnail it turns to
Yeah.
mud.
Because
So-
what you want to do is your cover is your best advertising.
Mm-hmm.
So first you want to have a cover that matches the genre you're in.
Right. You don't want a fantasy cover on a science fiction book.
Yeah.
You don't want a romance cover on a military science fiction
Mhm.
book
Ding,
because that's
yes.
going to piss everyone off.
That's
Yeah.
kind of interesting because we talk about that in your hook for your short story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the things you want to do is let the reader understand what kind of story they're getting into right away,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And the book covers the same thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But that's because what do people do today when they search?
They're usually using keywords.
They're
not
using keywords.
consciously, but
Yeah.
they're
Mhm.
using keywords.
So you get this string of 10 or 11
Results there.
results
Yeah,
by
Yeah.
cover.
right. And the cover has to grab them.
And if it doesn't grab you, you're going to go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want one that's good enough for someone to go, what is that?
Yeah.
So earlier this week, I was doing water monitoring, and as I walked up, I've got a specific spot where I've got to do it, and I walk up, and there is a daddy and a daughter, and little girl's like 6 or 7, and she's jumping up and down and squealing, "I caught a catfish! I caught a catfish!" And she's just so happy. And I helped daddy measure the crappie
Yeah.
they'd caught earlier, make sure it was legal limit. But it's for the book to follow that analogy of the fishing.
Mm,
Your cover is the lure.
Yeah.
And it attracts the attention of the reader. And then they come in and they're like, they might read the blurb. Oh,
Yeah.
this looks tasty. And then they go in and they read that actual hook on the story. You're
Yeah.
talking about crafting. And that's when they've clomped down on the hook and you've got them.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately, we're not out to catch and eat our readers,
yeah.
but what we want them to do
Yeah.
is to fill their bellies with a good book and then come back for more.
But that's all part of that building your backlist.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's really where
You're going to make money.
you're going to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. One book
Yeah.
will not support an independent author.
Hell
Mhm.
no, I can vouch for that fact.
One book won't even support a traditional author unless there is something extraordinary going on, like
Yeah.
you are some kind of celebrity or there's some kind of huge
Yeah.
global chatter about you and your story, which is probably, statistically speaking, rarer than winning the lottery.
The probably only one I can think of off the top of my head is Tom Clancy.
Well, and even
For one
he-
reason,
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan
Mm.
mentioned Tom Clancy's book.
Well, that's your word of mouth right
Yeah.
there, is to get your book
Yeah.
in front of people.
Well, he wasn't
that-
even that good a writer. My understanding,
No.
all the guys I knew at USNI, all the editors
Yeah.
were saying he sucked, and
Yeah.
they had to work with him
Yeah.
to make it readable.
Oh yeah,
But here's the thing. People will read, okay, because have you ever read a James Patterson book?
No.
yes.
Okay. Do one time
Yeah.
and you will understand what I mean. There's 50 zillion of them out there. You don't need to
Yeah.
read them all. One's enough.
It's the same book over
Pretty
and over
much.
again.
Yeah.
You do not have to be a good writer to sell stories.
Mhm.
You have to have compelling characters, and once
Excuse
you've built that fan base, you don't have to have a good story. What you have to have is a decent story
Yeah.
with good characters, because humans bond with other humans. So that's why
Yeah.
the characterization is so important.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you have likable, relatable characters, which Clancy did very well. I mean, other things, sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there was stuff that, and especially towards the end of the career, I could see the editing
Yeah.
was lacking because he sold so well. Why bother editing?
Well, he could say no. Just like Stephen King does, right?
That
Like-
too. See, I've never been a fan of Stephen King's stuff. I've liked like one of his things that he wrote as Richard Bachman, and that's about it.
Yeah, the
I
book,
like
the
Stephen
ending
King's.
never matched the book to me.
Well, even Heinlein
Yeah.
had trouble with endings.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I mean, I always feel like I'm committing some sort of fandom blasphemy when I say that, but you know,
We lock the door. The people with the pitchforks.
Citizens of the Galaxy doesn't have an ending.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorites. So
Yeah, or the proverbial make promises
you have to deliver on your promises, because
and
otherwise
then
you're
don't
gonna,
deliver or
right,
Mm.
or under deliver.
under deliver.
Yeah, because I mean, in that case, you have to have a good rest of the story, or people aren't going to keep
Yeah.
trying to find more of your work and reading it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as an indie, even the big indie sellers aren't necessarily good writers.
Yeah, but they
Mm.
are.
Yeah.
The other
They're-
thing is production.
Yes, that is exactly what the big indie names are doing
Yeah.
right now, mostly.
Because they write a book in a month.
Mhm.
And they've got something out there every 60 days or less.
Yep,
I can't write that fast, folks.
I know I can't.
I'm not as verbose as Sarah or Larry or anybody else.
Well,
Just-
being a little wordy is
Ooh, nice reference.
is not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that, especially if you're writing a longer piece, you have the room to
Yeah.
relax and expand.
Hmm.
Yeah.
In a short, coming back to what we were talking about with shorts, you don't have the room to be
Yeah.
wordy. Keep it clear, keep it succinct, and keep it moving.
Well, growing up reading the people that I did,
Mm-hmm.
you know, most of them as writers use very sparse descriptives
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
because, and you know, Zane Grey, good example, was a newspaper man. So everything was very short descriptors.
Yeah.
And to me, the character development, I want to involve the reader in that. I want to involve the reader in developing the scene. Because if I give them a basic outline, they will then fill that in their heads. Just like the same reason I put up snippets on my blog to get reader comments.
Hmm.
Because I know what I want to say in my head and what I've, you know, dumped out on paper, the brain drippings, may not mean the same thing to the readers. So when the readers come back and go, well, that's nice, but it's like, crap. Okay, rewrite. But the other thing it does, it gives them a little bit of ownership for that novel or
Mhm.
that story.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can get the readers engaged and give them ownership, then they become a promotional team for you too.
For better or worse sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
Because then it's where's the next? Come on, write it.
Well, and that's why I have for years, and you do the same thing. I will promote other writers because I can't possibly write fast enough to keep these people fed.
Yeah, that's true too.
So I'm like, okay, here,
Yeah.
books, let me feed you books.
Yeah. And thankfully, we do have some friends that are fairly rapid writers.
Well, and we have enough of them
Yeah.
that write well enough that we're comfortable recommending them.
Yeah.
That we can keep putting those out in front of
Yeah.
people. And I mean, I don't necessarily do book reviews on my blog anymore because there's been a couple of times in the past that it's bitten me.
Yeah.
Sadly. But like Alma's review today of Barry Cunliffe's
Yeah.
latest book, Alma's blog is dangerous to my pocketbook.
Yeah.
Because she reviews these wonderful academic books with
Yeah.
academic pricing.
Oh yeah. But some of the things that she puts in there, you know, you're reading her blog. It's Cat Rotators Quarterly is the name of the blog. You read through it and you go, really? I didn't know that. Or read one of her novels and end up going down a rat hole chasing research for where that novel takes place. And I got into it with her one day because I was pre-reading, I was beta reading for her. And I'm going, where's the rest of the damn story? You can't stop there. This is, you know? And I get back this All right, fine. You know?
Yeah.
But by the same token, that the amount of research you do, and I know we've had this conversation over dinner, all of us have.
Mm-hmm.
You do 6, 8, 10 hours of research for one sentence.
For a minuscule.
I mean, it seems that way sometimes, but I really do think that it comes back to building a foundation.
Yeah.
Which we talked a little bit about last night. And you have to have that foundation, but you don't necessarily need to see the foundation.
Right.
But the foundation is there, and it's what keeps everything straight and level going upwards from the foundation.
Exactly.
And I think without that 6, 8, 10 hours of research, things might get a little wonky, especially as you get further along.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about like a long series without the solid research,
yeah,
then you can really risk getting skewed off on what you put in there at the beginning just to kind of throw away, and then all of a sudden later you realize that's a major plot point.
Yeah. And I've written myself into a corner and I can't get out.
Right, and then that's frustrating because you might have to throw away tens of thousands of words and go backwards and retcon yourself out of the corner.
Well, you never throw it away. You just put it in a junk file.
Yeah, but I mean, it hurts to cut.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
But by the same token,
I hear a little jingle.
it's alive.
we have proof of life. Log Dog exists.
Stay off of 369.
Now what?
That sounds ominous.
They're paving the road for the new idiot school.
Oh,
All
Jesus.
lines are out in force on 369.
Oh, joy.
Well.
So that's all much to say that Ian's having a good day.
Yes.
15 minutes to stop and go traffic because everybody had to stop and look in an idiot school.
Which is apparently a zoo. There were monkeys all over, and
Well, don't feel bad. We're having that kind of day, too.
Oh, yeah?
The other
Yeah, come
computer
look at the monitor.
didn't work.
you can barely see the chat through the mess on the screen.
The other computer is DOA. Jim had to run and get his computer from home.
What happened?
It
We don't
decided-
know.
It's
We're just-
saying that the stream couldn't be created, but apparently everyone can hear
it's
us.
Still live.
Can they see you?
Johnny
Yeah, they
says
can see
yes.
us.
Okay.
We have no idea what's being said.
He
in the
needs to
chat.
Irish up that
Ian-
coffee there,
And
James.
for your amusement,
That's this.
a stack of letters from my child.
Oh yeah, that's an entire episode on its own.
I write this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Write faster. Did you tell your mother you loved her? Why didn't you?
Dear mother, I write this letter at 1905.
Faster, faster.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I have to rewrite this letter due to ripping it in half. Well, I take it off the notepad.
Get your letter writing gear now. Move.
Did
Right,
you see
yeah.
the sketch on the back of the first one?
It is scribbled. It is scribbled. It's nearly
Oh my
illegible.
gosh, yes.
Also on Watch My First Night.
Well, they read the one where he's like, "I've been up 39 hours, and I'm."
I wrote this letter in 1905 after being awake for almost 39 hours, so please excuse any errors. Jim buggered off, so I guess I'm sitting down.
It's Navy boot camp, James. What do you want?
Yeah, I mean,
So, I write this letter at 1905 after being awake for almost 39 hours. So please excuse any errors. Sadly, I have no info to share as I'm not in boot camp.
He's in
Oh,
holding.
He's in
yeah.
holding. Waiting for the other members of my division to arrive.
writhing might work there too.
I have to rewrite this letter due to ripping it in half when trying to take it off of the notepad.
Here, you need some help.
Gentle readers, I'm not sure what that's a drawing of.
I think he's vacuuming the walls in that one.
I think he's
Hey,
vacuuming
it's boot
something.
camp. He might be vacuuming the walls. I
Dear
mean,
mother,
really?
I just rewrote last night's letter. I'm nearing my ledger.
Yeah, don't worry about it. There's some of those things you're not going to be able to decipher.
Yeah, I like this. Start here. Do not
Not
plan to
plan
come
to-
to my graduation.
I fear me or my peers will put that date off. My
Upper back hurts.
no.
Upper back hurts.
I'm a cue ball bald. Basic.
Yeah,
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 you deserve it.
Dear mother, I love you. I miss you.
That's all in caps. That's all in caps.
My baby can't shut up nor follow instruction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on the laundry crew. I've made mistakes, but nothing noticeable.
Yeah.
That has to do with
my
your
poor
uniform
child.
regulations. There's
My
even
poor
a
child.
picture of
It's
there's
The
been
laundry
noticed.
detail.
It's
Yeah.
been noticed. Trust me.
yeah.
Dear mother, how
Oh,
are you?
these are all caps again.
I
I
think
brought
he's doing.
insoles at the NEX. They kind of helped. P3 day is tomorrow. P3? Does Jim know?
I don't know. I'm not sure Jim had time to look at these because of all the computer issues.
And that was what?
I'm in the middle of writing this. They had to get a petty officer to shut them all up. That's more writing assigned. I don't understand. I'm supposed to thrive here. You're not supposed to thrive.
No, yeah.
Oh, I
That's
love
not
this
the
one. I
point.
love this one. Dear mother, love you, miss you.
Zzz.
And these are all like a day apart.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's writing every day.
I love
I'm not
you. I
sure
miss
why,
you
but
dearly. So yesterday's letter. I was so tired. I only got 3 hours sleep last night. It's 3 hours more. than I
Welcome
got
to the
before.
Navy. Yeah.
I asked Jim about his time at Boot.
Well, you're talking about vastly different generations,
Oh
son.
my
You're-
gosh, yes. But even I mean his
Is that an
experience.
engagement ring?
well,
I
I
don't know.
I
what the
can't.
hell
I saw
is.
that too, and I was like, surely he hasn't been to a strip club yet.
Use sandbox. Hey, Johan, when I said off the litter box, that was metaphorical. How are you? How are the cats?
Oh,
Haven't earned the privilege of
youngest
wearing.
daughter is pissed.
Oh
Oh,
no.
good.
Oh, the one in California. You want
Got
to talk
the-
about that?
Got the first new PG&E bill,
Oh no.
$505.
Good heavens.
He's rated NQS, not a qualified swimmer, due to being unable to swim.
Well,
How we do
considering
it,
they
yeah.
herded him into the pool like lemmings, right? I mean,
They graciously knocked it down $150 because they're low income.
Dear mother, please, please, please write to me. Oh wait,
yes, I saw that. I saw
It's-
that on the chat.
So I,
We have a
I
new
have
character.
a distinct problem.
Spurgle McBurk.
He got shortchanged on the genetic tree.
I'm having a problem here because normally I hate frat boys, but what's going on college campuses all over
Have
the
they
nation?
met- have-
No, let me finish. The frat boys are turning up and singing the national anthem and throwing and drinking beer and pointing and laughing at all
That's
of
because
the.
they all want a
Yeah.
$500,000 rager.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Yeah, no
Oh
kidding.
my gosh.
it's almost there.
Yeah.
It's like,
So-
but now I have to like frat boys. So
Good Christ,
right.
that is dim.
Yeah, no, we've apologized to the chat, but they can go do their own thing.
Yeah.
We can't follow.
I've been
They're
leaning a
doing their
little
own
bit.
thing anyway.
Don't they
So
normally do
they
that?
Always do that.
All hail frat boys. We have to lean in.
Well, it started out with I can't remember his whole name, Nicholas something. The kid that just smiled while the other guy.
Yes.
got
Oh
his,
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
his face.
That,
And I'm like, I have to admit, here he is. He's a teenager. He's got a grown ass adult who should know better in his face harassing him, and he just smiled and took it.
Well,
He
and
was a
and
good
it didn't
kid.
really matter what that kid did.
He
What
was-
they wanted for him
Right.
to do was assault that guy,
Yeah.
They
right?
were there
Right.
for
They were
hours
pushing
and
for that.
hours and hours, laughing and pointing at them.
because they're
Mhm.
frat boys.
Yeah.
Where they're
It was
also now
amusing.
doing what's called Flagstock.
That's
So-
hilarious.
That's the name of the concert they're going to have.
Yeah.
Big and Rich are going to come play. It's
Well, I
completely
mean,
out of
with
control.
as much money as they've raised, they can afford. You have to have a
I
really
mean, all
big
the
party.
kids have job offers. I mean, it's like
Well, those are the job offers that are not going to those other college graduates.
yep, you betcha.
I mean, it is
It's
the
wonderful.
same thing.
Thank
If
you
we
for
go
making
back,
all those Republican voters.
if we go
Yeah.
back a couple of generations to the sticking it to the man thing.
Yeah.
Now we've got the preppy kids are sticking it to the man by raising the flag.
Yeah.
hmm
It
Well,
used to
because the
be
man has
we-
become the counterculture.
Right.
Yeah.
It used to
Yeah.
be we're sticking it to the man, we're going to burn
Mm.
the flag. Now we're just sticking it to the man, or we're going to raise the flag.
Yeah.
I
I-
like this trend.
I
but
read
it's weird.
somewhere that every generation goes counterculture of the previous.
Yeah. It's taken it like 2 generations, but yeah.
So it's coming back around to us old fart boomers.
Ugh.
What do you mean us?
Ugh. I'm Gen X. Everybody forgets about me.
Yeah, well,
You and Mike
there
both
might be a
are.
reason for that.
I think most of us, other than the pterodactyl, are Gen Xers.
I know.
Okay.
Jim took me up to his
your-
house and he
your
opened his
phone
safe
is-
and there was like
Mike,
battle axes and things
Your
like
phone
that.
is making noises, and this is
No,
important.
it's
right
a
now.
text. No,
Okay.
it's
Nope,
not the
never
it's not the
mind.
mechanic. Don't worry, everyone. Looks like I'll be here.
We had hopes.
Ah.
We want to return you to your wife.
Yeah.
We'd like to be able to get you back sometime, and if we keep you
I
for too
have to
long,
admit,
we'll lose that.
I'm
privilege.
kind of in favor of these enforced 1 week internships.
I don't know. I might show up at home next week and she'll take a shot at me. You know, who is it?
Strangers in the house. Yes.
Get the damn Marines off the lawn.
Yeah.
kind of in favor of these enforced 1 week internships.
I already know everything I'm doing it.
Did we get the live stream or the podcast with Kelly unfacultated?
I didn't touch it.
Okay.
We did discuss how you and a clip chimp get along by gangbusters.
And how I have now had an education in the art of swearing.
Uh,
I mean,
Uh,
not that I wasn't already.
Well, I also
Okay,
played.
So his internship trapped in the blanket fort. He has earned a drive around town. I'm going to leave you to here to fix that and take him out for an hour and let him have a walk. So,
well, also remember, see if you about putting some salami on a cheese sandwich this month.
okay, I will. He's definitely earned the
Maybe
mayonnaise.
some bologna.
Maybe some dog. We might have hit one out there.
But no, I'm actually going to let him out. So,
Always taking Chinese for cat.
Mm. Wally, I peed while we were on the podcast. Don't worry. Don't worry.
And on that note,
I think we're
That's an
done here.
excellent closer.
Y'all be safe, and
remember, don't pet the sweaty stuff. Don't sweat the petty stuff.
y'all be safe.
And we'll try this again next week, hopefully with less technical problems.
And Mike will probably still be here.
Oh, what a freaking day.
Ending this is going to be interesting because